All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for our Crisis Alert Summer webinar. My name is Lacey. I'm going to go ahead and just give us a quick little introduction on topics we're going to be covering, and then I'm going to be turning it over to Larry, who's actually going to run through the presentation for us today. So just as a quick reminder, who is this webinar for? So this is for anybody who utilizes the Crisis Alert Admin Panel. So administrators, responders, badge managers, SROs. This is not intended for general staff, again, just for those who use the admin panel. The topics we're going to be going over they are going to be the functions and capabilities of the mobile and desktop application. How do you access the web portal? Training your staff, and then we're going to conclude at the end with a live Q&A portion. There is a Q&A option inside of Zoom. So if you do have questions that come to mind as we're going through the webinar, please feel free to throw those into the chat. If we didn't get to addressing a certain question at the end during that live Q&A, we'll circle back on those and address anything that we may have missed. So Larry, whenever you're ready.
All right, thank you, Lacey. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar today. We're going to cover some things that are probably going to be, resonate with you as familiar, obviously, if you went through our training before. If you're new to Crisis Alert and our platform, welcome. So we know we have some folks that are kind of here for a revisit, and some are here maybe for the first time. So we're going to start off talking, as you see here on this slide, about the function and capabilities of the mobile and also the desktop apps. The things that we're going to revisit are receiving alerts, closing them, and then also activating alerts as well. So you might be familiar, of course, with this screen. This is the home screen to the mobile app. And if there are no active alerts, this is what it's going to look like. As we move through talking about the app, certainly responders, and that's probably the bulk of who you are, you have permissions to receive an alert. And receiving an alert looks like what you see on the screen here. In the first screen, it looks like a push notification. You may also receive that critical alert notification. This kind of sounds like that Amber Alert if it's enabled through your iOS. And regardless if your phone is on silent or do not disturb, you'll hear it. It will take over your phone. And so what you do at that point, after you get that push notification, is you open the notification. That's what you see in the second picture of the mobile app here. It gives you a little more information, a little more detail of the site that you're located. It's a staff alert. We know that's a 3-click. We get a classroom number, and we also have the person's name. It's also interesting, you see where it says 26 seconds ago. That's a running clock of how long ago that William pressed his badge and initiated that alert. So if you don't see where the alert is coming from, you could click on this particular notification. It takes you to the map. And remember that when the alerts are activated through the computer, like the desktop app, or from the phone, it will be shown as you see in the middle screen here. You won't see that map, and you'll see the map, but you won't see the location of the person that clicked it. So that's important to note that, if you're at the site and you're a responder, you just use your badge, right? Using this off campus, we'll talk about in a moment, is best practice if you are, again, at a training yourself or at a conference or something, and you need to initiate it from off-site. So the other capability that the app has is closing an alert. How do you do that? Well, remember, the alert is active. That's what you're seeing in the first screenshot here. Is you would hit the close button, and then it takes you to the menu. And the menu is really critical to try to capture this as accurately as possible. So what we suggest is the person that handled the situation, they know best what happened, right? So they should be the one to select, for example, on this example, suspicious behavior. And then they would close the alert by sliding and pressing that red bar at the bottom. What that does, closes the alert, obviously, right? So it disappears off everybody's phone, and it closes out on everybody's desktop application as well. And that data is now captured on your dashboard. It's also right here under Alert Support, which is really handy, I think, because, when we updated our app, this was one of the newer features. And it was, to me, as a former principal, a time saver because I could just jump right on my app and I could take a look at the day's activity, the week, and at the month. Didn't have to go to my computer and log in to web.centegix.com, which I could, but I can just get that in kind of real time right here on my phone, which is really, I think, a really nice feature to have. So let's talk about potential other types of campus-wide alerts that you might have at your school and district. And again, you can access these potentially based on your permissions from the mobile app, which we're talking about right now, or the desktop app. And this is just a sample. We've got some folks that have just a couple of these in their district, but there's like a whole menu of potential campus-wide alerts that you can initiate. How do you do that? Well, go back to the home screen. You'd press the red bullseye, our logo right there at the bottom. And after you tap that, it takes you to the very first screen that you see on the right. And what that is indicating is your location. Where do you work? Some of you are assigned to multiple sites, and you would select, obviously, the one that you would like to initiate the alert for. So I'm principal at a high school. I've got a weather phenomenon coming my way. Maybe it's a tornado warning. So I'm going to jump on and I'm going to press that red button at the bottom. It's going to take me to my high school. I'm going to select that, hit the red button or the blue button at the bottom that says continue. Now I have the menu that we just saw a moment ago with all those different types of alerts. So I might pick shelter, for example. And then I haven't done it yet. Even when I hit the second blue bar, I get a confirmation screen. That's the third screen. Really important that, it's like, oh, I didn't really mean to do that. You can just X out of it. No harm, no foul. But now you're like, we need to initiate it. You slide that red bar, as you see at the bottom, to activate the alert. And finally, you'll get a 5-second countdown. That's your last chance to back out and, stop that process. But when you're ready to go, you just let the countdown roll, and then, the magic happens, right? With the alerts, with the strobes and everything else with the takeover. So now we're going to transition and talk about the desktop interface. I like to say, and some of you maybe have, seen Lacey or I, one of your trainings along the way. And one of the things I like to say about the desktop interface, it's the same information as the mobile app. It's just a different device. And it's really important, I think, that we highlight the desktop app in this revisit because it's reliable, right? I mean, that we don't rely on your Wi-Fi, Crisis Alert in our platform. We don't rely on cell service, so we know the Wi-Fi is spotty in a lot of places. So you typically have, your desktop hardwired into your network, so there's some reliability there. But if you're like me, former principal and assistant principal, I didn't spend a whole lot of time, sitting at my desk in my office. I'm around campus. That's why you have the mobile device. And again, cell service is spotty in some campuses. So this is a nice backup, if you will, on getting alert notifications to remind us of how do you log into this, and to ensure that I am logged in. You would find our app, and there it is in this example. This is like a PC version. Macs tend to have our app at the top, and you would right click. That's the thing that's good to know. You right click on our app, and you'll see login. That means I haven't logged in, so I would log in with my credentials. If it says log out, that means you're logged in. And the great thing to remember about both the mobile app and the desktop app, once you're logged in, most likely you won't have to do it again. So if you get a network update, this is a chance you could check to say, am I still logged into this? And if it says log out, you're logged in. If it says log in, then I got to log in. So what happens again when somebody hits that badge, either 3 times for staff alert or a multi-click at 8+, for the lockdown? Well, your computer gets taken over. It gets taken over with a sample map that looks like this, and We have satellite view that we've added a few months back, so you kind of get a better orientation of where you are on the campus and where this person is who's clicked their badge. Same information you'd have on your phone. You get the dot with their initials in there and their location and where to go and help them. Now, you can also, you see here, kind of on the right side on the panel, it says close alert. You can close the alert from your desktop app, and you can also activate alert. Remember, that's the blue button at the bottom. What that does, same thing we saw a few slides ago with all that menu of all those different potential other campus-wide alerts. You can do it right here from your desktop application. My suggestion is do what's easiest, right? I mean, if you got your phone and you can log in, do that. If you're sitting at your desk and this is readily available, you can initiate it from there as well. So now let's talk about accessing that web portal I mentioned a moment ago. We'll cover again assigning badges, removing them, badge health, that report, the alerts report, responders report as well. And we'll also cover badge training. You see it here on the right-hand side. We'll get to that, kind of separate that out a little bit in a moment. So again, you folks have access to our admin panel. It's web.centegix.com. If you haven't logged in, or you may recall logging in, there's a screenshot of, okay, it's your work email and the password that you had set up. So as you see here, you want to be able to have that opportunity to access this from the web site on your computer. Now, once you log into that, web.centegix.com, you'll see a screen that looks similar to this. You'll see a map of your location, your site, and then you'll hit the drop down at the top right, like say that's kind of the hamburger menu. When you click it, you get the menu of choices and you would select admin panel. Also, you've got some other things in here that are a little bit more robust than maybe the first time we came and saw you, maybe a year or two ago. So we've got some extra support in here on this menu as well. So if you haven't had a chance to look at it, I encourage you to do it. So once you get in, you'll take a peek at, remember it defaults to the users tab. Users is selected off to the left-hand side. These are your people, right? Some things to note about, this particular screen is that this is how you would assign, a badge. You go to the search bar. Typically, it's the easiest way to find somebody. You type in their name, Larry, or you can type in my last name, Hausner, and after a couple of keystrokes, there I am. Unless I'm a multi-site user. I am, maybe I'm a district level administrator and I'm assigned to every site, or I'm a psychologist and I work at the elementary school Monday through Wednesday and the middle school Thursday, Friday. There's the button kind of at the top next to add user. It says show multi-site user. You click that and then you would be able to find that multi-site user. The next step is you click scan badge. Of course, you got your scanner ready to go. It's already plugged in. And then you hit the QR code. So that is the reminder of how to basically assign a badge. You click scan badge, the QR code comes up on this computer screen to remind you, oh yeah, scan it on the back of the badge. So depending on the badge that you have, the version here, what we suggest certainly is that if you have the button at the top on the right side, you don't have to really do anything else than what I just mentioned. However, if you have the button on the badge toward the bottom, you can see on this other screenshot, got to wake those badges up. And how do you do it is you hold the button down until you see a green light flash, and then it flashes 3 times rapidly. And then I would wait a little bit of time, a couple of minutes perhaps, and then that badge is ready to go. Got to wake them up, right, with those other types of badges. So something else that has come up on occasion is maybe I need to remove a badge, or I got to deactivate it, because you remember in our training, we talk about communicating to your staff. A good practice is, hey, I can't find my badge. I need to let one of my administrators know, or the badge manager, and they can simply toggle it off. Remember how to do that? It's the green button you see right here. You click where it says on and it turns it off. Then when they find their badge, hopefully soon thereafter, you turn them back on the exact same way. Now, if somebody has really lost the badge, like it's gone or somehow it gets thrown in the wash and it doesn't work anymore, or drive over it in the driveway this morning because it fell off my lanyard, we would actually click the orange button to edit it. Got a couple of choices here. We could replace it or we could actually remove it. So you have a couple more features that maybe you didn't have the first time, again, when we came out and visited with you. So let's move and talk a little bit about badge health. Really important, and we stress this in our trainings, you might recall, where you have the ability to check the health of your badges. And how do you do that? Well, you select badge health right here on the left-hand side, and it provides a report that looks similar to this. So we have that rectangular red box right there that is highlighting the key, and the key terms, you see healthy, unhealthy, replace, and badge not seen recently, and those come up under the status report. The best practice here is to check this every couple of weeks, just to see how the health of the badges are doing. Now, you may work at a site that has a lot of people. Let's just say a high school. You might have 150 people. And Larry just said, hey, you should check this every week or two. Great news is that when you select badge health, if there's any badge that needs to be replaced because the battery is low, it is at the very top of the field here in red. So you do not have to scroll through 150 names and click through page after page to find this information. It's going to be right here and readily available. The other one that you see below, there's that rust-colored badge not seen recently. Why that's an important one is because it tells me a couple of things. Number one, we only haven't been here in a while. Remember, on our key here, it says that if your badge says this, it hasn't been on your site in 7 or more days. Well, spring break, we're all gone for about 9 days with the weekends. So everybody's badge will say this. The Monday we come back from spring break, the badges still work. They're still communicating. It just takes a couple of hours to check in. However, what if you just had a 2-day weekend? You come back and it's like, oh, I haven't checked the badge report for 2 weeks. I'm gonna take a peek at that. And you see Irma here. Well, oh my goodness, her badge hasn't been seen recently. I think I need to have a conversation with Irma. My guess is that Irma has probably misplaced it and hasn't told anybody. And that's why I've got the green active button right here, so you can just toggle it off. Or she's just choosing not to wear it. So not many places we've trained that it's an option to wear the badge. So expectation is you need to wear the badge. If she's lost it, let's just deactivate this one. We can remove it. You saw that on the previous slide. And what we'll do is we'll issue her a new one. The alerts report. This is some great data, right? And if you're familiar with the data that you've been seeing since you've had, our platform, what you'll see here is pretty robust. And certainly if you're at the district level, superintendent and directors, and I was one for a number of years as a director, and I had to give a lot of reports to the Board of Education. I'd pull this. I mean, from your district level position, you would have access to have all of your sites into one report where you could talk to your team, cabinet, principals. You'll see some trend data here, like what type of alerts, like are there locations that we're seeing on certain campuses that are getting more activity than others? And that's an opportunity to provide some resources. Maybe we need to have, assign our campus supervisors. Maybe we need to add one at the high school. This is phenomenal data. When I wear my principal hat, I think, I'd probably share this with my staff maybe every other month at a staff meeting. Take 5 minutes, put it up on the screen. You can export it into your slide deck and talk about it. And there's some great opportunities for some I call it the guardrail conversation. The reasons we're using it, and collect some stories. And certainly one of the things we like to talk about when we share data like this is that Our solution obviously provides this. Before you had Crisis Alert, maybe you had radios or you had, we want you to keep all that, of course. Maybe you have, the phone that you can call. Those things, the radio, the phone, the push button, panic, that doesn't collect any data. This does, and you have access to right here on an alerts report. It's really powerful data that I think is worth noting and worth revisiting. So let's talk about this responders report. This may be a new one for you because when we come to train you, we may talk about this when we're, maybe setting some folks up, but it's really important for you to know that you have access to this. And with the new school year, you got a lot of changes. You might need to verify, like, who's listed for a responder at my school site. So you simply do it by clicking responders report. And then you see that arrow off to the left-hand side next to site responder, and that's the drop-down. So we see we got Sarah and we have Logan. They are assigned to my school site. You see their roles that are assigned to them as well. And you can see their permissions. What are the permissions? The boxes that are checked above this field. So when you see staff alert, test alert, shelter in place, and lockdown, you see that a site responder can receive and close all of these. So that's important to note as well. So when you're training, maybe you have a new AP this year, and there they are. They're listed here. So it's the trainer of trainers model. You're going to bring her in. You're going to train her. You're going to give her the overview. You're going to, and I'll talk about more about that in a moment. But then you can talk to that person and say, here's the permissions you have and what you can do with, for example, the mobile app and the desktop app, right? They can initiate, at this school site at least, those particular types of alerts. So it's really important, especially again, summertime, people come, people go. I would like to see my team to ensure that we are all listed here under the appropriate responder type. By the way, there's just 3 on this slide. You may click on yours and you might see 7 or 8 different types. So you would see site responder, might be admin. It's pretty robust at certain places, but you want to make sure that your people who are on your responder team are getting the alerts, and and they know what permissions they have. So I want to talk a little bit about, speaking of training, as I did a moment ago, about some best practices, avoiding inadvertent lockdowns, right? We don't want those, and badge training mode. So we're going to talk through a few of these. So first of all, let's talk about best practices. And this is a really good one. So, I think that it's, critical to revisit these ideas that we share with you. Now, the best way to onboard your team is by showing them the 5-minute video. And some of you may think, I've not seen a 5-minute video because, well, we produced in about the last 6 months. We've got a link for you here that you go to success.centegix.com, training resources, and then the crisis alert video. You may remember when we came to train you, we trained you on how to deliver a PowerPoint presentation that was very supportive with all the speaker notes and everything in there. You might recall that. Now you just show the video. So push play, right, for 5 minutes. And then once you do this, so once you're going to bring your folks back in, you know what I would probably suggest, because I think about, summer and coming back, is you're going to have new faces. Certainly at school sites, we have people coming and going all the time. I would dedicate a few minutes for an opening staff meeting to show the video to everybody. And then bullet point number 2, have your staff practice using their badge in badge training mode. And you do that through the admin panel, which we'll talk about, but you want each person to do that one at a time. You don't want, hey, everybody, click your badge. That's not effective or efficient. So one person at a time. And then you want to wait 2 minutes after entering badge training mode before starting those alerts. So if I'm the principal, I'm going to have my AP, I'm going to have, them like put the system in badge training mode while I'm wrapping up my presentation. And that 2-minute period will already pass. And if they don't have their badges, we'll give it to them, because you don't want to hand out badges unless somebody's been trained. And then have them practice. And that ensures peace of mind. It ensures that the badges have been assigned to people appropriately and accurately, and the staff knows how to press that badge 3 times. Really critical to practice that. I say it in trainings all the time. I would suggest doing this exercise with badge training mode at least every quarter. You want to build that automaticity, that muscle memory. So when, a moment comes, even if it's, something like, two kids fighting on the playground, that's, my adrenaline's going to be escalated when that happens. You want to make sure they click the badge 3 times and feel that vibration, and then they know folks are coming. Again, when you're in badge training mode, you want to wait the last, 5 minutes or 5 minutes after the last person pressed their badge, and then end badge training mode. So, a moment ago, I talked about inadvertent lockdowns and how to avoid them. So it's really critical that there's a lot on this screen, right? So I'm going to cut to the chase on what I think is really the biggest takeaways from this information. Number one, the left side. 75% of those inadvertent lockdowns, we collect the data at CENTEGIX. It's initiated usually from somebody who did not go through badge training. Makes sense, right? We want you to treat your badge as if they're live, even if they're off campus. So, hey, 4th of July is coming up. I would not suggest passing this badge around. You can talk about it and, explain how awesome it is, but I would not say, Grandma, give it 3 clicks. And next thing you know, you just put the school down the street, into, a staff alert or, or worse, an inadvertent lockdown because we just kept pressing the button. So consider them live. On the other part of this is you want to make sure people go through training before you hand them a badge. Remember, it's the 5-minute video, and then you're putting the system in badge training mode, giving people an opportunity to press their badge. So you got to go to training to get a badge. That's important. And then the third bullet point is kind of what I talked about a moment ago. Practice badge training regularly. Just don't hand your badges out to your new people in August and say, have a great school year. And here comes January and somebody hasn't even pressed their badge in 5 months. And there's a moment where they need to and they forget. So I would revisit badge training on a regular basis. If it happens, you let your staff know, and certainly you talk amongst your team, how can we mitigate this? And, let your supervisor know that immediately that we've, inadvertently initiated a lockdown. So a couple more things left before we turn it over to the questions. Again, I'm going to revisit how to put your site into badge training mode. Well, there's badge training off to the left-hand side. Then you go to where it says schedule a training session. The duration is critical because in a staff meeting, you might think, oh, it's only going to be an hour. I would turn it off for 2 hours because you'll know that when you turn it off, it's a running clock, right? Counting down, and it's going to automatically go back on. So I would hedge my bet. I would do, 2 hours. Or if you're training just a couple of people, you could do an hour just in case you got a lot of questions and, conversation comes up. Want to make sure the system's still off when we're pressing badges. And then I would select the start now when you're in that meeting. You get a warning that comes up that is basically saying, hey, do you realize you're about to turn off everybody's badge and they will not work? So when you understand that, you'll hit create the session. The next little box comes up where it says success. You've done your task. It says okay. And now you're to this desktop view. It's really critical, as I said a moment ago, about having folks press their badge one at a time when you're in badge training mode, because as you know, you watch below the blue line and the most recent clicker is on top. So I simply would say, okay, first grade team, okay, one at a time, click your badge. This is already after they have their badges. And, I'm going to make sure that I see everybody's name and they see it. They're going to see their location. They only do a 3-click, and they see the ID for their badge and the time and the date. And that is confirmation. It's peace of mind. It makes them feel comfortable that they certainly know how to do it. And then, as I mentioned, when you're all done, you hit the orange button in the upper right, in now, after 5 minutes. So again, the training session consists of, number one, showing that video, putting the system into badge training mode, distributing badges one at a time if they don't have them already, and then practice one person at a time in badge training mode. Right, so that's the overview of things that you were trained on in the past by our team. And Lacey, I'm going to see what questions might have resonated that either we can chat about a little bit or that you've addressed in the chat.
Yeah, thanks, Larry. So we have a few questions that we need to get some assistance with. One of them came from Cindy, and she was asking about locations. And her question was, if a location doesn't have an identification, is it because there is not a location beacon close enough? So not sure if you can assist with that, Larry.
Well, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is perhaps it's somebody who initiated that is one of our responders, and they've initiated it through the desktop app or their mobile app. Remember, if you're and if you're off campus, we're not going to see that. If I'm sorry, if it's initiated through those two, we're not going to get that location. Perhaps we're just going to get campus-wide alerts. So I'd like to dig a little deeper on that one because if you're on campus, anywhere on your campus, and you click that badge, one of our locating devices should pick that up. If you're like, hey, we're just clicking our badge and it doesn't seem to be registering, we're not using them apps, then let's talk about that with our support team. But for the most part, it's the first thing that comes to mind is perhaps it was done through the app.
All right. Next question is from Sam. And Sam says, I am an admin, but I do not have rights to what you are showing now. All I see is the school map. Sam, I'm thinking this was back when Larry was going over the admin panel. If I'm mistaken, please go ahead and throw something into the Q&A. So I guess, Larry, if it is
I'm sorry, he's probably referring to the fact when I went to the well, first of all, he can't even get to the admin panel, it sounds like, potentially. And that goes back to what I talked about with the responders report. Remember the boxes being checked and also the role being assigned. So the lead admin who has the access to what I described can simply go in, find you under users, hit the edit key, and then can give you those permissions. They should give you the responder type, like site admin, and they should also give you a role. That's another dropdown. A role would be site admin, and then you can fly the plane just like I did with all those supports. You want to add anything to that, Lacey?
No, I think you got it. And Sam, please, if there was more detail that you needed from that, go ahead and just throw in another Q&A. The next question comes from Adam. Adam was asking, what if someone is not listed in the appropriate category that they should be listed under? How can we get them added and listed correctly?
Well, it's kind of the same answer. So this might be something, Lacey, we could put together as a resource for our folks that have joined us today. So let's say I'm that person and I don't have I'm a responder at the middle school and I'm the AP, but I don't seem to have the permissions. Is that you would go to users, the search bar, you would type in my name, it would come up. Then there's an edit button. That edit then takes you into selecting and providing those permissions to me. And then you save it, and then I should be able to get those. So who does that? Well, it's not me because I can't get into it. It would probably be the principal or my director or somebody that has the ability to do that.
Great. Next question is from Tessa. If the badge is deactivated and then removed, can an alert still come through?
Not if it's been removed, it's, and turned off. Like if you deactivate it, I think I'm understanding that question correctly. Nope. It will not initiate.
Next question is from Thomas. The last hold we had, it did not show on my mobile device the map for me to see where it was. So why would he have not seen the map on his mobile device?
Depends on where and who initiated. So if it's a hold, it's an administrator, right? So it would be, let's say I'm the principal, it's Adam, right? And Adam's my assistant principal, and I'm going to go on my computer, or I'm going to go on my phone and initiate a hold. You won't see the location from there. You'll get the alert and what type, but you won't see when it's done through the mobile app or the desktop app. Is that accurate? Is that right, Lacey?
believe so. And let's see if Sarah was still on. Uh, well, it seems to me that maybe Thomas was asking, he literally just wasn't seeing the map at all appearing on the device.
So I'm going to go back to that.
Thomas, if I missed it, if you're still on, if you want
Yeah,
Q&A.
we're kind of, let's see, what you would see is this middle screenshot right here. So when you get the notification, you don't see the map until you see where it says staff alert and there's that green bell. You got to press that. That's another notification. Once you hit that, it takes you to the third screen, which is the map. So I know that sometimes in training, people go, oh, yeah, I see their name. Oh, you got to press that. And then it takes you to the map. That could possibly be the case as well.
Next question is from Chelsea. If a user is transferred from another school, what is the correct protocol to get the badge on our school side so they are removed from the old school?
So typically, if you're staying in the same organization, so let's say I'm, a teacher, and now I'm going to be the new assistant principal at a school across town, same district, I just keep my badge. You don't have to take my badge from me. My badge works on every campus, everywhere. And then again, typically the human resources department, when they've kind of transferred my work location, will then populate for the new campus. So when I move over to the middle school, when they look at, this page of the users and they type my name, my name should come up. So that's what's really nice. You don't have to collect badges because we know, in my goodness, and K-12, you got people coming and going all the time. You got instructional aides and you've got all these folks that move school sites. They keep their badge from site to site as long as they're in the same organization.
All right, next question is from Ted. What was the link to the 5-minute training video?
I'll get to that, Ted. There it is right there. Success.centegix.com. You can just take a screenshot of this maybe with your phone if you got it handy. And then you go to training resources. And then there's the crisis alert overall video. Yeah, that lift is no longer on anybody to deliver the overview. This is the overview. So if you're not a responder, like I'm your new 3rd grade teacher, great. 5-minute video, Larry. And then we're going to put you in a badge training mode so you can get a chance to practice. Remember, no responder conversation needs to take place with anybody who is a staff member. I always say it's really simple for anybody it's pretty simple for all of us, but if you're not a responder, you get a 5-minute video and a badge. That's it.
And looks like those are all the questions that I see in the chat.
Fantastic.
All right, we just want to thank everyone once again for attending our session. We will be sending out an email sometime next week with this recording, so it can be something that you could reference again or go back through. In the meantime, though, I think, Larry, there's one more slide, I believe.
There you go.
So if you do have any additional questions, please check out our support website. That's success.centegix.com using your CENTEGIX credentials to log in. You can just click into that search bar when you are on the site and put in a keyword, and it'll have different resources coming up. If you're not able to find your answer on the support portal or support site, you can email support@centegix.com or go ahead and give us a call at 1-800-950-9202 extension 2.